What is going on, guys? Welcome on into today's stream, and my goodness, is volatility back at least this afternoon. It's starting to get interesting again. It's not like the slow action we saw I think at one point last week where things really calmed down post Powell. I think it was on Thursday of last week. It was super slow. We're not getting that today. Right now we're looking at SPY. Let me see if I can adjust this bad boy right here so you guys can, let's see, there we go. I like to make sure the edges are lined up at least pretty close. That's as close as I'm going to get for now. So here's SPY. Big day, right? Gaps up a little bit off the open, pulls back into yesterday's highs, essentially. Little volume area right here, holding pretty nice around that 380. Really nice rally. Some bull flags along the way. And break this little downtrend, pushes up, tries to get to new highs, gets rejected. Double tops right there. Hammered to the downside. Went red. Then it's bounced back, and now it's back green. IWM, so the small caps are weaker. They are red. IWM is red, whereas SPY is green. And that's where we sit, at least as of right now. We should have some good action to the close. We'll get a good feel for what the heck just happened right here. Some massive moves in crypto as well. Bitcoin broke down to new lows on the year, and then it's snapping back. Let's cover that really quick too, just as a start. Look at this. Bitcoin, I want to call it a flash crash. Sure. I mean, this thing hit 16,835 was the low that I see here on TradingView in terms of today's low. That's pretty incredible move, right? Off of where this thing just was earlier today, up well over 20K, just destroyed. There was some news that FTX is now going to get bought out potentially by Binance, which is actually really funny. I wasn't funny, but it's funny because I think FTX was going on some buying sprees a while back, helping out or buying out other companies, and now Binance has taken FTX as they were having some major problems. So with that said, that's where we sit, at least as of right now, and we're bouncing back. So it's a really weird price action. Coinbase, this price action on Coinbase is absolutely insane, right? So look at this volatility with crypto. Coinbase today, I'll go to the 5-minute chart. It's getting destroyed right now. It's down 13%. But Coinbase today at one point was down around 10 to 12%. This morning was down sub $50. Rips right back up on that news that Binance was going to now buy FTX, and then gets destroyed as Bitcoin is now flushed off and gone to lows. Bitcoin's bouncing right now, but then gets destroyed and it's back down. So it went green briefly, and then now it's back to red, deep red. Pretty insane moves that we're seeing there. Outside of that, I was looking at Amazon. I'm in a little bit of a small position on Amazon still, but I think I'm going to have to get out of this thing because it is bouncing back pretty aggressively here. Yeah, what did it do? It came back and held that 89. Yeah, I got to get out of this thing. So Amazon right here, we're looking at this as saying, okay, 89 goes. That's going to be an opportunity. And there was. I mean, Amazon dropped under 89, dropped down to 88.20. But now it's sliding it's ripping right back up with the market. This is some wild action, to be honest, guys. I'm not really sure you can make much sense of it right now. It's pretty interesting because the moves we've been seeing. At one point you thought we're going to plummet, ripping up, then you're plummeting, then you're ripping back up. And so it's pretty wild, to say the least. Having an absolute blast. Best day in a while. Awesome. That's good to hear, man. That is good stuff. All right, let's see. So I have this. I'm going to have to probably cut this off soon here. This Amazon. So I was playing it versus this level, which is now it's bouncing up. It's invalidated, right? So we have to cut this guy off before this thing gets any worse. If it does, it was a small position too after a decent day. So that's the deal. Man, look at that thing bouncing up. SPY hitting VWAP. I'm going to give it to SPY VWAP. Let's see this play out. But let's see. Go back to SPY. Amazon's been relatively weak as well. So yeah, if this gets back over here, I'll take out. I'll stop out of that. I'm in pretty small here. So that's at around 182 or so on SPY. But SPY essentially, man, is looking pretty strong here, or at least off this dip, which it looked bad at one point. Man, this thing was dropping under 378, and we're like, oh my god, this is not going to be good. And what has it done? It's snapped right back and bounced. And it's funny how these lines that we've charted out act as nice support resistance zones many weeks or days later on in the future. So that's what we're seeing right now on SPY. That 378 that we had charted out acted as resistance, by the way, here pretty much all morning yesterday, and now it's a bounce zone today as we're bouncing back. So we'll see if that goes. If this VWAP goes on SPY. If so, Then I'll stop the Amazon. And we'll see how the rest of the day plays out, man. It's pretty wild. Wouldn't be surprised if we do some of this into the end of the day. Some big moves up and down. But let's check the volume. The volume was a concern yesterday. That volume has come back, I think, today. Yes, this afternoon, this volume has really ticked up substantially across SPY. Let's take a look at the daily chart on this guy and see what the volumes looked like. So look at volume yesterday. Volume yesterday here is only, let's take a look. What's the number? On SPY was about 68 million. The day prior, so that would be Friday, which Fridays generally have lower volume. Friday's volume was about 100 plus million, 103 million. So kind of weird, right? That all of a sudden you're sitting here and looking at yourself like, SPY had one of the lowest volume days we've seen since August. It's pretty impressive. Something's up, and now we're getting a lot more volatility, at least for now, for today. So we'll see if this continues into the close. But you should be having a much bigger volume day across SPY, I would think, in this next hour. We should probably rack up a good amount of volume, is my guess. But we'll see. We will see. FTX liquidation, even though... No, that threw off the whole Bitcoin... It threw off the whole Bitcoin sentiment. Everyone's like, what the heck are we going to... What does this mean? Like, yeah, I get it. I don't know. I really don't know. That's why to be honest, there's enough volatility in stocks that I haven't really cared about crypto. Not that I guess... There's plenty of volatility in either one, and you can trade either one. But I figured the market's got enough crap going on right now. It's not really worth looking and trying to understand two different sides, which first off, there's not as much history with crypto anyway. So it's not as easy, I would think, in my view, to understand it. Especially on days like this when you get some massive, massive moves. So VIX is popping up today, though. VIX is up huge this afternoon. Now the VIX is pulling back as the market's trying to rally back. If this market rallies back hard to the close and gets above VWAP on SPY, this VIX will probably come back down towards 25. So we'll see if we get that into the close. And that's the look. So right now on SPY, if we just jump back, the Russell's relatively weak versus SPY. SPY has got the relative strength. We have kind of these lower highs right here. So really, I guess on SPY, it's this 382.50 is going to be your next kind of line in the sand. I know it's not really a perfect line, but that's your line in the sand for now. I guess I can draw a zone. Let's draw this little zone right here. This will be your spot to watch if we can break above VWAP as the next resistance. If that's the case, then we'll see what we get. But yeah, geez. Pretty good stuff though. Hold some crypto, don't even care. I have some Bitcoin and some other accounts. I think I have a Coinbase account and what other accounts. I don't think I had Binance accounts. I never had an FTX account, but if I had a Binance account, I don't think I have any money on there. If it is, it's very small, and I haven't even looked at it in many months. But it's some interesting and I guess scary stuff, right? If you're involved, because I think what I saw too, a tweet go through, and it was like, now based off of this, if you have money on FTX, it's no longer FDIC insured, which is kind of concerning if that's true. So I don't know if that is true, but if that is true, that's pretty concerning. And so that kind of freaked a lot of people out. I'm guessing that was part of the freak that we saw earlier today in Bitcoin. So it was funny too, because look, now we'll have to I never took that Bitcoin swing, but we were talking about maybe a Bitcoin swing as an idea. Looking back, I would have been stopped out today, only for it to, well, it's still at 18K. It's kind of, look what it's doing now. Look at this Bitcoin, by the way. Zoom this back out. Go to the 3-month chart. What it's doing right now, well, I'll go to the 5-minute second. So this is your support, right? For a while. This is this area around 18.4 up to like 19K. So we'll see if this 5-minute chart has any, continuation to it. But you had this kind of flash crash as we broke down below this support zone, this white zone. You had this kind of flash crash all the way down here. Then you snap right back up, right? But then you kind of get back into that zone. And now that zone that was support is now acting as resistance to the upside. And you're seeing on the 5-minute chart that it's starting to weaken, and you're seeing Bitcoin start to come back down, and now it's back down under 18K. So this is going to be interesting to see if that continues into the close or overnight and whatever on BTC. But that's pretty much respecting this support turn resistance now to a T. So over 18.4, and then that's okay. That's no longer respecting, and then maybe it's a long, right? But if it holds this 18.4 as resistance, that's your level now, 18.4 on BTC. So that's where we sit. Outside of that, I don't know what else to talk. Let's see what we got going on next. Nat gas, guys, this nat gas play that we were looking at yesterday hit the targets that I was looking for. I got stopped out, missed the whole thing. Tis what it is, but we're looking for this gap fill back down. Nat gas opened up yesterday up around here, and I was looking for a gap fill back down towards about 650, and we got down to 620. What's today? 622. Yep. Sometimes, it just doesn't work. It's just not meant to be. Now, if we break this trend line, this could be even more opportunity to the downside, but I don't know. I'm not at this point in time. It's just a little wonky. I would just rather stay away. So we shall see what's up with that. NSPR new lows under 1 after earnings. Yeah, it's on the list. I saw that it was getting hit. Yeah, I haven't checked the earnings out, but I'm not surprised. I guess that's not. There's just been weak. It's been weak as hell. It's just been weak as hell. Small caps right now is just not where. It's just not the place to be. It sucks. I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't that way. I wish these companies, or at least some of these stocks, would trade at a better valuation. Although people are scared and people have no faith in this stuff in the next at least in this environment, until the Fed turns, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of where I think you're going to need to see, not pivot talks, but you need the market to really believe the Fed. And at the same time, too, you're seeing it across even the other risk-on plays. These are all pretty weak. I mean, look at ARK Invest, right? Kathy Wood, right? Look at this. Not that it's at new lows. It's close. It's getting down there, right? But like ARK, if ARK was sitting, let's say, well off of the lows of the year, different story. But ARK didn't do that, right? ARK had a higher low right here, and then it broke down below that, and it's been making lower lows and lower highs ever since. So that trend needs to break, and then I like to use Kathy Wood as kind of a risk on, base. Not that it really is necessarily, the perfect way to judge risk on or risk off, but it hasn't been. So you need things to really turn around, I think, based off inflation data and the Fed talk or whatever. The Fed's not going to stop their talk, I don't think. But it really needs to be CPI to call the Fed's bluff and be like, hey, it's some BS. You got some BS going on here. We don't believe you that you're going to be this aggressive, yada, 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 and then maybe have a turn in the markets in risk-on plays. That's kind of the deal. But that is the deal for that. Let's see what SPY's at here. Mr. SPY. So we got a doji forming right now on the daily. We'll see if that actually holds. Why is that? You have big range up, big range down, and you're pretty much in between. You're right around where we opened up. Believe it or not, on SPY, it's going to try to break this VWAP. We're getting close, but there's some decent resistance up here around, what is this going to be? Up towards around 182 or 382.50. Sorry, not 182. 382.50 will be your next, I guess, important resistance zone to watch. If SPY can get through here, it can extend it up to maybe up to 383 if you really want to. That was our consolidation zone earlier today. But that's kind of the level on SPY that I'll be keeping a good eye on. So we shall see. We shall see. She's pushing. I think this is the time of year, not time of year. This is the time in general. See, this is getting a couple wicks up on the 5-minute chart. We'll see if it breaks now. You got the higher lows to do it. If you don't, though, you're probably going to come back down to 380. So it's probably about $1.50 move to the downside if this can't break right now or in the next few minutes. Again, my guess is that you're going to come down towards 380 again. This zone right here. We shall see. But that's my thought process too. Is like, who knows if this holds on and this market and lasts and whatever, but the skill, the more of the trading skill, I think is much more valuable, much more important anyway in ever-changing environments. So you don't have to worry about your, swing trading or investing strategy becoming obsolete or becoming, dead essentially. That's kind of how that's the biggest, I guess, takeaway that I have from this whole past year. Is that, if you're actually going to be serious, I mean, the problem, and I have a video that I decided to finally put together to explain this a little bit better. At least I think I explain it a little better. But what the premise of it is that this whole COVID environment was really, really awesome because it got people thinking about investing. And even prior to that, the big, people in the finance space, it got you thinking about investing and taking, control of your finances and whatnot, which is awesome. Great. That's good stuff because it's not something that's that's really baked into formal education these days, which is kind of crazy, but that's just how it is. And so in that, right, you have a lot of the concepts, the ideas, the thought process that you use to invest, right, long term, is absolutely not what trading is. But the thing is, because it's the same stock market, because it's the same stocks that you could trade, that you can also invest in, because people trade SPY, people trade Apple every day, Tesla every day. You can trade up and down every day. But because of that, what you end up having now is a bunch of people who think that investing or trading are the same thing. And they're obviously not, but like the ingrained subconscious thought process that you're going through every single day, or that you come from with an investing approach, is going to absolutely destroy you from a trading perspective. It's not it's exactly the opposite of how you need to be thinking, because you're thinking that the research and my knowledge and my expertise is going to be how I make money in the long run, right? That's from a long-term investing approach, right? Well, if I research the companies, if I know what's going on, I listen to the earnings calls and I read the reports and I learn all these different things, I'm going to make a ton of money. And yes, sure, in a long-term investing approach, there's people who've done exceptionally well doing that, right? Yes. But that's not trading. That's investing. That's not trading. So trading is all probabilities, and that's what it really comes down to. It's probabilities. If when it comes to like active trading, so that's where people get thrown off. And then when you have this hybrid mindset, you end up in a place. I was literally there. You end up in a place where it's like, I think it'll come back. I think I know what's going to happen next, or I think I know the stock will come back because I've done all this research that tells me it should, or because I know in the long run it'll go up. But in the short run, you can get destroyed. So it's like it's not the same, and it's a pretty bad thought process and mindset, I think, to be in. But that's me. That's what I've discovered, at least realized for now. So we'll see how the next couple of years go. But I would imagine that the long-term investing approach, like that stuff's not going away. It's not going away. But what I think is going to be more important is that if things are choppier, if the market ends up in this big or in a range, or the market's not the same, right? Tech stocks, growth stocks, it's not as easy, right, as it used to be, which obviously this year has proven it's not. If that's the case, then there's going to be a lot more value in a trading skill to be more active and to pull money from the markets actively versus long term. You're not going to get the instant gratification that you got when everything just went up every day. You know what I mean? Oh, I got my 100% returns on this stock. Okay, well, time to sell it and move on to the next one. Well, you might be in a period of time next decade, or who knows, where stocks, are chopping around. One year they're up 10%, next year they're down 10, and the next year they're up 6, next year they're down 6, and there's not as much range. There's not as much movement up and down in stocks that you would have, in the past seen a lot more action. So we'll see. That's kind of my speculation, or not even speculation. That's just like, a hedge of trying to be more serious and learn this and learn the skills and whatever before something like that were to happen. But we'll see. Separate the two strategies for sure. That's kind of how I have figured things have been more effective, by separating the strategies in the mind and then also like in the accounts. Because I was doing it in the same account, and that was just dumb. So separate the accounts, separate the ideas, and it should be in a good spot. Look at this move, though, by the way. Qs are coming up on VWAP. Kind of weird action on the Qs. I had this zone right here as, your area of, what do you want to call this? I mean, this was kind of your area of support back here multiple times. We breached below it, but really nice area of support from like 267 up to 270 on the Qs. We breached above that by a couple bucks, and then you fell below that by a couple bucks, and now you're right in the middle of that zone. So talk about, really not really sure about what the heck's going to happen next after a day like today. Yeah, that's where we're at right now, I think. Because, you have this massive move up off the open, and then you sell it all back off, and you pretty much come back down to yesterday's, 378 level, and then you snap back. What is that now? $4, almost $5 in the past half hour now that you've snapped back across SPY. I don't know. That's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. About 1% and almost 1.25%. this zone, if it gets up there, it's about 1.25% from literally an hour ago on SPY. Look at that massive bounce back rally. My goodness. See if it's testing this zone now. We're testing up into this zone. We'll see if it wants to reject here. If she does, great. If she doesn't, great. There'll be opportunities on both sides. But this is going to be, I think this is your next. If you were looking at SPY as a short, I'm not looking at SPY as a short. But if you were looking at SPY as a short, this would be your zone to risk it off of. I think up to about 3. Maybe you can give it a little bit longer. Give it up to like that next psychological area. So up to like this 383. Kind of hits this consolidation zone right here, the top of this candle right here on the 5-minute. But that's kind of the spot. You can dial it in a little bit more, but something like that. So we're testing it now. We're slowing down, and price action was pretty fast the past like about 2 hours ago. Slow, and even the past hour, the past like 10-15 minutes have slowed down a bit. So we'll see if that continues. But we got about 40 minutes to go into the close, and then the market's closed for today. We're also never to trade the net going off your equity curve. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. When you look at the curve too, it's really off. I don't want to say off-putting. I don't know if that's the right word, but it'll throw you off a ton. So SPY's trying to reject here. We'll see. You need a bigger candle. That's not really too. It's still kind of in these higher lows. You need a bigger move down. I think really underneath this looks like this right here. You break down under this 181.30, and then we can maybe see, start to speed up to the downside. This area right in here. A couple wicks upside and downside we're touching in there. A couple dip buys came the past 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Was a little resistance on the way up before a little pullback. So we'll see if that gets tested. If not, we just go higher from here. Then we're just going up. Let's check on FinViz really quick too. FinViz today, about half and half. Really is about half and half. You have 52% advancers, 43% decliners. It was about 50 something declining, 40 advancing, like 15 minutes ago. So it's kind of bouncing back a little bit. Skewed towards new lows today, and I saw a lot of stocks. At least a lot of stocks that I was looking at did hit new lows, so I'm not surprised there. You're skewed, and you're sitting down towards lows in the market anyway, so you're skewed on that side. Tesla is getting hit pretty hard. 50 SMA were about half and half, which is kind of where SPY is at anyway. So not super surprised there. Tesla had a pretty nasty day. We talked about Tesla yesterday. I had that Tesla put play into the close. But check this out. So Tesla opens up, and it off the open dumps, hits down to 186.75. Came back up and clearly could not break this 195. I didn't see that. I wasn't looking at this. I wasn't at the desk, wasn't around at the time, but that 195 would have been a really interesting area to play at short versus, right? If you had maybe come back and seen this double top test right up in here, get rejected, an entry somewhere in here would have been good for a move down to VWAP, risking that 195. But Tesla's been getting hit pretty hard. And this chart, to be honest, does not look great. Has that almost, that look of that breakdown here. If it can't get back up and hold VWAP right now into the close, I wouldn't be opposed to that as an idea as well. A Tesla breakdown, and you kind of have a tight risk where your top end, risk is going to be right here, right? So you're risking like 192 as a stop loss, which is about $1 risk, and then your reward, ideally, if this trend breaks, you're probably going to get down maybe towards these 189 lows. We'll see if that maybe happens. That could be a decent risk reward. Let's take a look at that, what that would look like. If that trend breaks, let's see. 2-to-1 would be, it's about a 2-to-1 down to those lows into the close. It's been weak. That's the reason why I like it. Of course, if SPY starts to rip to the upside even further, then probably not. But if it breaks down, that could be an opportunity. On a little Tesla, SPY kind of bouncing off VWAP. Let's see. It's still at that 382. It's just kind of sitting there. It's just sitting at that 382. We'll see if it gets. It's pretty. I guess if you zoom in, just like when it got down to this, 378, got pretty oversold. I guess off this bounce, you can say it's a bit overbought from this. I wouldn't be surprised for a pullback. Would be pretty healthy, even if it did want to continue higher. Back into like 381, even 380 down to here wouldn't. Well, Even 381 would not be terrible if you were looking for a constructive dip buy to the long side. So Tesla. I think that Tesla could be a good idea. Could be a good play outside of a breakout of that 192. If that occurs, then you're probably going to move maybe a dollar or two into the close on Tesla. But that trend line doesn't look too nice. SPY's is still sitting there. It's not really moving too much, to be honest. Past few minutes. AMD's been looking, AMD's had relative strength. It's up a little bit today. Nvidia's had more. Nvidia was kind of weird. I had a gap to fill up to about 150. Didn't quite get all the way there. So it's kind of weird. I had it on my list as a possible idea. I ended up not taking it because it, essentially off the morning pre-market, it was up like, 2%. I'm like, oh, well, yep, it's already up into the gap that I wanted. So I was looking at if Nvidia had actually just had, close where it closed yesterday, like right around here, 143, and if it got up over 145 into this gap and it stayed, strong, then it could have been a nice trade to the upside. But the move happened overnight, so I was like, it sucks. What are you gonna do? But I'm not interested. Amazon's still the weak link, I guess, of the large caps that I like to look at here. It's getting up towards the VWAP, but it's still the weaker link among the group. It's still red by 0.5%. And if you look at this Amazon, it did snag this low here, but what do you have on the big picture on Amazon? What do you got? Looks to me, now obviously CPI could change that mood, right, very fast. Looks to me like you've got a bear flag, right? We were kind of flagging, consolidating potentially, and then looking for a drop down to new lows if this were to actually pan out on the bigger picture time frames. It's more like 30-minute chart, hourly charts. If I go zoom out to the 30-minute chart, it's what you see. Pretty clean. Nothing like super insane to be able to see, but that's pretty much the look that I'm seeing on this Amazon. Something like that. Now, obviously, the thing breaks this to the upside, breaks over this 92. Different story. But in terms of right now, that's what we got on Amazon. Trying to bounce, trying to go. Oh, I guess SPY. Yeah, SPY is pushing up into that zone, so it's trying to push a little bit here. She's trying to. See if Amazon tests that VWAP. It's coming up into a little consolidation I had earlier today. Earlier today before the breakdown. SPY is coming up to 382.38 now. It's up into that zone. So we'll see how it reacts here. This area that was a little rejection point at 382.50 about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Nvidia had upgrade today, fell off the Bitcoin market move. Yeah, I think I was seeing that news that came this morning, and then I was like, it sucks sometimes when that comes out overnight, but it is what it is. So here's SPY. Also, the dollar and DXY. DXY and the 10-year a little bit down today, both. DXY is down about 0.5% today. Nothing crazy. Here's the past. Let's go to a 6-month chart. Here's DXY 6-month. It broke below the lows of last week? Or 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Down here, 109.50, broke below that briefly. It's now essentially sitting right on that level as we speak. The 10-year is, it made a push up here to 4.245, and then it's pulled back a bit. Still higher lows on the 10-year. As much as, I want to see it under 4, and lower highs under 4 is what I would want to see for a true trend break, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get that on the 10 for now. But we'll see. SPY pushing here, 383 coming up now. Looks like it's trying to get to at least 3. Yeah, look at that push. Man, that's a big move on SPY. Wonder what Tesla has done. It's probably, it's holding that level. So it's actually going to potentially even break out here in Tesla. Careful though, a little bit into this consolidation. So 383 needs to be a clean break next on SPY for more. I'm curious if this move will hold into the close. Because if it does, that's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts that we had this massive push to 385. Then you came down to 378. And then you're potentially back to 385 by the close. Would be insane. Talk about range. My goodness. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing too. BTC 18K. It's holding down. It's potentially going to set up for flag in an even minute, maybe going lower. We'll see, but it's under this 18.4, 18.5. Bitcoin needs to regain 18.5, 18,500 if you want to see upside. But if it does not, that is not a great look, because it's going to then turn, you're just going to turn, you know, prior support into resistance and just stair step your way down, if that is the case on BTC. My goodness, SPY's just going for it here. The Russell just went green too. The Russell was red. Now the Russell's green, so small caps surging a little bit, but still relatively weak on smalls versus large. Amazon still red technically versus the others. Tesla's still red. Tesla's about to hit that 192. Yep, it's breaking out. Look at that. Look at that. There's a Tesla breakout right there over that 192. Holds. That should be a decent move, maybe into the close, as it was a pretty nice area of support, turn resistance. It's now turning back, maybe support now into the close. So that is our deal. So FTT on its way to 0. FTX is coin. That's pretty bad. Yeah, I wouldn't have much faith in that. My gosh. Qs up 1%. So a lot of at least a lot stronger moves on the Qs today versus the S&P, at least a little bit. But there goes SPY, 383, 40s. It's broke right through that zone, and now she's going for it. Broke above VWAP and has just said, screw you, we're going higher. That's what SPY is telling us here today. My goodness. Should be getting some election, I guess, results, right? I would think by tomorrow. Into tomorrow, we'll see what happens there. Now you're going to get SPY back up into the area that it got hit pretty hard earlier today. I don't know what to think of this. I really don't, because you think about it both ways. If you're, you know, everyone's going to try to point, you know, spin a narrative of like, oh, this is what happened today. Well, you can think about it one way of like, oh, well, you know, dip buyers came in very strong and we came right back up. And so that shows you got some good strength. You can also look at it as we got hammered down, came back up, faked people out saying, hey, we have a strong, underlying dip buyer base is pretty strong on this market. And, hence why we're moving back up, whatever. And then hammer us down into CPI. I don't know. But the CPI is going to be the ultimate swinger up or down. Either we're going to break that 390 on SPY, or we're probably going to come down and, I would say, get at least a shot to test. It doesn't need to test any lows, especially the higher we go in the meantime. Probably break down, and if the CPI is bad, probably come down and maybe test down somewhere down into here. Maybe go a little lower, and then who knows, we'll have a shot at lows. But that CPI is going to be pretty important, I would think, in determining that next leg of the move. So that's where all eyes will be by Thursday morning. And so tomorrow's your day to kind of, I don't say I guess, but tomorrow would be a day to potentially prepare, to hedge yourself, to position yourself accordingly if you need to do something, or go short, go long, whatever you want to do. I guess in theory you could do that. That would be your day to do that tomorrow. But we'll see how tomorrow's action goes. Imagine SPY goes down and drops to like 380 by the close next 30 minutes. I think you're going to have a little bit, 384. Yeah, a little bit of resistance. It got close. It's going to be your spot to watch. Pre-close on SPY. She looks strong though, man. She does look pretty strong. What else is moving there? So that Tesla, the only thing I'm concerned about Tesla though is if this can't actually break out over this level, then you can get a decent crackdown to the close. But let's see, it's trying to, but it's the problem that you have too when you're playing breakouts, especially, it's not something I would like to do, especially in stocks that have had relative weakness. So like, yeah, is that the stop point? Like, yes, maybe that's the stop point for a long trade or for a short trade, but is that necessarily the same trigger that you'd want to be playing for a long trade. I mean, I guess in theory it looks decent, but it's still, Tesla's still down 2.5% in a day where the S&P is up a lot. So I wouldn't want to necessarily short it if it's me. That's me though. That is just me. So we'll see. That's what Coinbase was like, the ultimate trap today. Let's see. Where's Coinbase's chart? I had it pulled up earlier, but here's Coinbase. So what it did, and I was not surprised, and it was hilarious to see this. I had contracts, I had puts that I sold them at essentially like somewhere in here, and they went way more. But you had a potential bull flag right here, consolidation bull flag, and you're trying to hold around this like 55, 50 or so area right here. 55 or so is kind of the spot psychological. I guess the next, whole or round number, whatever you want to call it. And you had this, at the time I was watching Bitcoin, and Coinbase pushed up, right, hits a high of the day up around 58.45, whatever the number was. And at the time, Bitcoin was ripping early, and then it started to, like this move up, Bitcoin was up. Bitcoin was ripping up. And then Bitcoin started to fade. And it started to fade. And it started to fade. And so I was like, I don't think that this is going to be a breakout you'd want to take long, because this bull flag was a long because Bitcoin was dropping off at the same time. And the market was, holding up. S&P was at like 384 or something like that, whatever SPY was doing. But Bitcoin was really, really weak. And then slowly but surely, right, Bitcoin keeps going down. Coinbase comes back to this 55 area, breaks down, and then just absolutely implodes this afternoon, or this, I guess, late morning into early afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. But yeah, might even have another shot here too on this Coinbase for a possible bear flag too. Into the end of the day, into the last, not that much time left, so it's kind of risky to play anything, but something like this is the look. See if it breaks down below, like I'd say like 49.50, then you have a possible downside play. But with that said, I wouldn't, watch SPY a little bit. Nothing that necessarily respects SPY perfectly, but SPY is pretty strong, so any shorts now are maybe not the best idea. Tesla's still at that 192. It's like teetering on that level. It's not really giving us a true or big move up or down, below or above. It's just kind of sitting there, boring us a bit. AMD, a little strong there, nothing crazy. Amazon went green finally. She's finally gone green. But, nah. That is ripping up. And SPY is, what's SPY doing? 384 testing on SPY now. So SPY's getting going back up. This might rip into the close here. She might rip us into the close. Wouldn't be surprised. Jeez. Yeah, SPY is going hard here. It's a weird day, to say the least. 180. IWM just went hard. That thing was barely even green. Now it's decently green. My goodness, on IWM. Wow. Pretty impressive. Rally back up to the close. Still got 20 minutes to go. 20 minutes. SPY, let's see if it happens here at this level. This was the prior support. Now, ideally, that would turn resistance. Here on Spiggity SPY. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know, but you would think that like some big news came out, right, in this like span of time. But it just, dip buyers seemingly just came in with a vengeance. My goodness. DXY is bleeding off a little bit. The 10-year, not like it made massive moves. 10-year is down towards the lows of the day. Not like it made a massive move, though. Kind of wonky stuff. Amazon back to trying to hold green. It's red to green potentially. Tesla, maybe this thing wants to die into the close. Maybe we take a spec little shot at it. Let's see. I do like the idea. You gotta be, I won't say you gotta be quick, but you gotta play. It's just a play into the close and the tight stop, and it just seems like it had a false break there. Let's take a peek at some options that we would maybe look interesting. At least in 190s. Nice tight spreads. Could be good for a little pop into the close. Risk would be, you know, a few bucks essentially on this Tesla. Let's see if we can snag it. 490. I'll take. We'll partake if it hits. Disney earnings coming up. They're all weird. Yeah. Every day's got its own, right? It's got its own thing. Got about 20 minutes to go into the close. See if I can get Philip to 495. Might not. Might move without me here. If it does, it is what it is. Yeah, look at that. She looks like she wants to break down again here on Tesla. Decent amount of, well, these contracts trade about a couple hundred contracts every 5 minutes. It's a decent volume. I find myself almost always finding myself in these plays of like super low volume contracts. I've tried to do a better job of not doing that stuff, of avoiding that crap before I play something. But yeah, that's where I always end up seemingly get myself into. Okay. What else we got going on here? Let's check on the SPY into the close. We'll watch Tesla. Looks like it kind of has a, you know, it just seems to me like this is going to be a decent breakdown of this trend into the close. It's a pretty steep trend too. Looks like this is just a fake out. Could be wrong. Looks like it is for now, unless the market rips face into the close. Of course, Tesla can do whatever it wants to do. That's my speculation. That trend line breaks into the close. Yeah, SPY got rejected a little bit off that level. Little bit off that 384, and that was your prior support from earlier. Now she's coming down. Oh, that's a little bit of a decent pop. About $1 drop off the high on SPY. Nothing crazy. See what she does in this zone right here. If she comes into this 382.50 area, maybe that's your dip buy zone. Check back in on that Tesla play. Yep, you're getting some SPY help. If Tesla wants to break down, you're getting SPY to help you. Let's see what it does. It's testing that level. You're also got a little bit of VWAP support here too. So you need to lose that 191, like 40. That area goes. Maybe you have a cleaner play, but if not, she might try to bounce. We'll see. Got a big move. We got a big move. This is in the way. This is like stupid friggin' target. We got a big move on Tesla into the close yesterday that ended up continuing into this morning. See if she wants to repeat something similar. Yeah, SPY had a pretty big move up to that 384, and then it hammered down back to sub 383 now. A little bit. Amazon is a play. Like if this thing, well, again, today was a fake, I guess a little bit of a fake, but if this thing continues to play this zone, here's your zone. I mean, it's pretty clean, I think, on Amazon. You lose this 189 and stay, and I would say close below 189. Like you get a daily candle close below that level. That's not looking great on Amazon. Daily chart wise, zoom out. You know, I mean, this is looking. I'll go to the weekly chart. I mean, you're getting down to some good volume, so maybe, you know, I wouldn't try to be pushing for too much more. Maybe there's another $10 downside coming. Maybe, especially with CPI. We'll see how CPI reacts. Maybe there's some more meat on the bone there, but a lot of these things are down a lot. So I don't know how much more meat on the bone. Of course, anything can happen. I'm not sure how much more meat on the bone you're going to get, especially down here. You need at least a reset, I would think, to try to squeeze out some more, but we'll see. Yeah, she's trying to hold that VWAP now on Tesla. She's trying. Apple green by 0.75 today. Semis are strong like usual, like they've been. Nvidia, AMD, biggest large caps, at least that I've been seeing, that are up a good chunk of some of the bigger players. Firm is up. Firm has earnings, I think, this afternoon. That should be interesting. Coinbase down 12. Upstart has earnings, I believe, as well today. Mara. Let's check back to Bitcoin here. 18.2. So look at Bitcoin. So it's actually trying to come up into this area again. 18.4, 18.5 is your support turn resistance now. So that's what we're watching on BTC. If it's going to give us a shot up into there, or if she is not going to be able to do it, and now respect that as resistance back to the upside. We will see. SPY, what's SPY doing here? 383 is the spot's trying to hold now. Yeah, so it's trying to hold, I guess, just above that zone. So 383 is trying to hold now as your support. Small cap, I ended up buying. I haven't bought one yet. I bought Neo. Today was earnings, did well. Nice. I haven't bought one yet. I'm waiting for post CPI. Post CPI, we'll see. But yeah, I'm just gonna give it some time. There'll be a lot of plays. I think if we do have a small cap season, there'll be a lot of opportunities, a lot of plays. If we don't, then we don't. So I would think this is going to be a good end of the year for smalls. Anything could happen, but I would think it's going to be a good end of the year. Only thought process really why is because, number one, well, first off, the market turns at all. Our CPIs come down next couple months. That would help. But then again, at the same time, you have a lot of funds that are down huge. So how do you pad your sheets? How do you pad your numbers to make it look like you didn't lose as much money as you did? You're going to have a lot of tax loss harvesting. That's another thing we got to talk about at some point too as well for some names. We'll see how much that actually affects things. And then you have, on top of that, you have funds that are going to look at some of these small caps and say, hey, we can ride this thing up and, sneak some gains back into our net P&Ls. I don't know how much that actually is going to play into things, but speculation, a little bit of speculation into the end of the year, and then get a good start to next year. We'll see. Got Disney coming up after the close. We'll go a couple. We'll stay for a few minutes and see what we got in terms of any post-close movers. But about 13 minutes to go. This XLE, I didn't realize. Yeah, look at that. XLE. XLE just broke a new high. Check this out. XLE prior high, was like around this 93. It just broke that today. XLE is the energy ETF. Gonna be I guess if we zoom back out, let's go to the all-time. It was higher back in 2014, up around 100, a little over $100, but you might have a shot now at that level as we're pushing up there. It looked like maybe we're going to reject this 93, but it's pushing above that now on XLE. Amazon sure doesn't look too good. Yeah, I wouldn't play it. I'm not holding it. I wouldn't hold it overnight or anything like that because who the hell knows. But if the downside presents, there'll be some intraday opportunities on it. That's the look under 89. If not, if it breaks back over 92, I think on Amazon, that's your upside potential. Trigger. Let's go back to that past couple months, past couple weeks. Yeah, I mean, on Amazon, yeah, it's this level right here. You could, of course, if you break back over this 92 and you start to hold over that, no. But if this pattern contains itself or sustains, right, and we see this thing continuing to play out into CPI under 89, under 88, really would be a new low. That would be maybe opportunity for a bear flag if CPI sends us that way. CPI, you need CPI to kind of help you out, right? A little bit of help from CPI would be the goal if you're short, but then again, it's a gamble either way. So I'm not going to hold anything to CPI. I have, outside of that, the Robinhood portfolio, I'll just hold a hedge. I might even add a contract to my hedge, just one more. It's like 28-cent contracts on the TQQQ puts. They're like, yeah, I'm going to grab one more in here. Just to get, I have 4 contracts, super cheap, just a hedge. And I bought next week expirations. So they're not even this week expirations. I have 4 of them. Now on the TQQQ puts, just in case, because we are obviously net long there. So selling covered calls as well will help protect the downside. But yeah, that's all. That's all we'll do in terms of holding stuff to CPI. So shouldn't short crypto. I guess depending upon what you can go to BI. I think BITO is like almost BITO is the Bitcoin. BITO is they hold Bitcoin futures, essentially what they hold. So they're going to trade pretty close to that. So you can short this thing, I guess, the Bitcoin strategy ETF, if you wanted to short, some Bitcoin or get some crypto short exposure. You could do that. One way to go about it. I'm sure there's also inverse ETFs you can play as well. So there's a couple ways to play it. Futures, I guess you could short futures, but that's risk. A little bit of risk there too. So Tesla's just teetering on that VWAP. Maybe we don't get a move into the close. 10 minutes to go. Maybe it's not going to do anything. But that is the deal. I have that small. I guess I just took one contract and that's it. Outside of that, though, today was a pretty interesting, pretty wild day up and down across the board. SPY. See if it breaks down. It's trying to maybe flag a little bit here. It's holding this 390 or the 383 area. Trying to see if that gets cut through or if it holds. But that'll be the last stream for a bit because I'll be back next Wednesday. But we'll probably do a stream at night just because I don't know what time I'll be back, but that's the plan. So we'll do like a night stream Wednesday night next week. That'll be kind of catching up on everything that's going on post CPI world. Hopefully there'll be some decent trends established post CPI that we can play off of, and some more clarity on a direction that we'll have after that point. So that's where we'll be next week, and then Thanksgiving week I'll be back and I'll be home full on. But this thing is just trying to hold on. We got 8 minutes to go. That's one of those things, too, that you got to think about when it comes to the time horizon on a situation, on a position or whatever. You kind of got to be careful because if you're playing stuff into the close, you're probably not going to get your full... Like if I had a level like this, yeah, maybe Tesla has movement after hours. I don't know, but if you're looking at this risk reward, right, this is a valid risk reward play after this thing seemingly had a little false breakout right here. But you only got a certain amount of time into the close, so you obviously can't really expect us to get any of that or even stop you out. So BITI is Bitcoin short. Okay, that's good. That's cool to know. BITI. I don't know. I think it's a little risky either way, but as long as Bitcoin if Bitcoin doesn't get back over that what's it called? The 18,500, man. If it can't do that, then I don't really know if I'd want to be long. That's kind of your level, your line in the sand right now on Bitcoin. So I don't know. It's at 18.2 right now. It's where it's sitting. So it's potentially just literally going to end up, pushing right up into here and rejecting off this level multiple times today, which is just telling you, hey, not a good luck. Now, what happens overnight tonight could change everything. This thing could be right back up over 19K tonight and tomorrow and change everything in 2 seconds. For all we know. Well, let's see what we get into the close here. SPY, what's she doing? Qs, still, everything's green though. SPY, Qs are up about 1%. SPY is up about 0.8. The Dow, I didn't realize the Dow is up 1.2. The Dow is the strongest. Jeez, I didn't realize that. So Dow continues. The Dow's strength continues. Like last week, right? And the week before, I think it's been very, very strong the past couple of weeks. The Dow had the best October I think it's ever had. One of the best Octobers it's ever had from a percentage return, which is kind of crazy to think about that too, because the Dow, I think, tested those lows. Let me check DII. I think it tested those lows in mid-October. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy. The Dow had one of the best Octobers ever for the Dow, but it had this low established on the 13th. That was our low. So from the 13th to the finish to essentially the 31st is when the Dow just went off. It had the best month in half a month's time, which is pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. So looks like we're selling a little bit into the close. Maybe Tesla gets some of that. There, she's trying to. 5 minutes to go. SPY 382. Yeah, that broke down. Now it's maybe VWAP is at 382. See if it gets to that VWAP on SPY. Tesla barely breaking. Put a sell in there. I'll have to move that in the next 5 minutes if it does not pop up to that sell. That's it. PITI chart looks on your hurricane map. Yeah. We were talking about PPSI yesterday too, I think, because of the hurricane that's going to hit Florida. Let's take a look. Did it move at all today? That's down 4%. Yeah, it's at the 50 SMA. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow has a little bit of action, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess with this right now. The storm isn't really super strong, and once it's passed, especially in Friday, it'll be a thing in the past. And if PPSI does well, they also got earnings coming up too. Maybe people are just going to be skeptical of holding any small cap into earnings or any of that stuff, which I would be. I mean, it makes sense. I would be, at least for now. Jeez, scam. I get like 30 scam calls a day. It's nuts. Pretty much closing at the VWAP. Yeah, 4 minutes. It's where it seems like she's going to be pinned at VWAP. If it comes down any more, you've got, well, not even that. If we close around this 382, what do you have? You got a massive doji candle right here on the daily chart. I know my chart's not the best. It's kind of crowded up. I should probably clean this up, honestly, because it's just like a little bit too much. But doji candle right there, meaning that you have big wick up, big wick down, and you open and close like right in the middle. Indecision. That is one of the biggest. It's just like, pretty straightforward indecision day. No one knows what's going to happen next. And then not really not. It's more just buyers and sellers are fighting a good bit, and that's that. That's really it. All right, Tesla breaking down a little bit more, but doesn't look like we're going to get much into the close here. She's not really moving. 3 minutes. SPY is moving, but Tesla's not. And going to end up making like $10 on that play. Maybe. Maybe even 10, maybe even 15 if I'm lucky. Let's adjust this guy. I'll adjust her up to about, what is this going to be? Let's go 520. And we'll adjust it down a little more if we need to. Maybe we get a quick wick down to the close. We got 2 minutes to go. We'll adjust her again if needed. Maybe she rips up for all we know. So after all that action, it makes sense that we're closing at VWAP on SPY. That's funny. It really is. I mean, it makes sense that we close right at VWAP, right in between, essentially right where the middle of the range or the middle of the day has been, middle of today's price action. It's just funny. About a minute and a half to go. Make sure I get out of this Tesla before the close. Although it probably doesn't seem like it would be like yesterday. It actually would have panned out if you had held it into the close. Funny enough. And I'm like all off center on this stuff. I'm on the ask. My sell's on the ask for $15. Would be really nice. Nice little lunch money. I've been liking the 15-minute chart too. I've been using that a lot more as of late. Just as cleaner, like price action wise. Here's Tesla's chart. Pretty clean price action. I don't have to worry about like chopping up and down a ton of wicks. It's pretty clean, so I like it. That's right. Oh, there it is. $15. Look at that. Look at that. Bought it at 5, sold it at 5.15 on that contract. Thought we can get a little more, but didn't really move into the close. SPY moved a bit. I guess if you played SPY puts, it would have paid more, but that's it. Snuck out another small green day. Past 2 days have been small green days on the Webull account. I think I had a red day yesterday on the small account. Made pretty much most of that back today. It was a bigger red day than it needed to be yesterday, just because of the fact that I sized up when I didn't need to do that. But I was just going to test it out. I'm like, hey, I've grown the account a good bit. Let's see if I can size up here. And of course, you're going to have to size up eventually, but that wasn't, the trade was just kind of a bad trade when I look back at it at the end of the day. Look at that. So SPY would have been a better short, my goodness, because you're getting a little after hours flush too. So you can trade SPY contracts 15 minutes after close. So SPY off that 84 rejection would have been a nice one, but is what it is. QQQ above. Yeah, that 269.15. If that holds this week, this is my zone, kind of a similar area. But if it can stay above, it had a big doji candle. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not surprised. Indecision going into CPI, who cares? Who knows? But I think that you're setting up for a really interesting finish to this week. Either we're going to get slammed back down or we're going to be ripping up. And Qs, man, upside on Qs, you probably got some good range. You got about 10 plus 15 bucks, maybe upside of Qs. Missed out on the crypto crash. Yeah, no, I mean, if you look back on Bitcoin, where did Bitcoin finish? Yeah, it finished kind of weak. So new lows on Bitcoin today. Then it bounced back. Well, no, it was dropping off a little bit. Then it snapped up off the FTX or Binance buying FTX news. Then that kind of news, as it's getting digested, is kind of concerning. And it's like, whatever, okay. Bitcoin dumps off, hits a new low, then snaps right back. And now it's essentially sitting at, is this prior area of support turn resistance right here at around 18.4 to 18.5. So Bitcoin needs to regain 18.5, I would say. And then from there, I wouldn't necessarily say it's automatically a buy. See how the next couple of days or weeks go, if it can regain that, depending on how long this takes. Of course, it could be a couple of days, or it could be longer if things are slower, if things are drawn out. If it regains at 18.5, that's a good look on BTC if you're looking for upside. But if not, I wouldn't be super interested in that until it gets it back above there. Like the 1, 3, 5, 20, and 2 hour time frames. The thing is, like, I like looking at the 30-minute charts. Believe it or not, it's been kind of fun. I've been looking at 30-minute charts, 2 hour charts a little bit. 15-minute charts have been good for 5 minute, 15-minute for intraday stuff. I've been liking. Outside of that, what else do we have to look at here? Did the Russell finish? No, the Russell finished, believe it or not, pretty much flat. It finished up 0.03%, up 6 cents on IWM from yesterday's close. So, and then everything in the after hours is down about 0.1%. I guess a little bit of a continued sell-off from SPY for the next, into the close a little bit, but it's not much to really talk of. With that said, I'm going to wrap things up. I appreciate you guys, like always, for tuning on into the streams. They've been fun. We'll be off for about a week, and then we'll have a Wednesday night. So next Wednesday, we'll do a Wednesday night stream, essentially to catch up on everything that's happened. And it will be a good catch up, I think, for myself too, because not that I always will pay attention to stuff, but it'll be good to kind of dive into things a little bit deeper and check out some charts that we haven't seen, and go from there. So appreciate that. Disney earnings. Yeah, we can say for a few minutes for Disney earnings. But that's essentially where we're sitting at, and that's the plan for the next week or so. Disney popping a little bit off of the initial report. We'll see. Costco food prices are up quite a bit. Cincinnati, wonder what this. I am. This is a CPI. I obviously, who knows? I am somewhat concerned. If this CPI comes in better than expected, though, I would get pretty bullish. Like, I would be saying, like, if you were thinking about swings, I think the time is maybe now to start really thinking about swings versus some levels, have risks in mind. But this CPI comes in, if it comes in and it's digested in a positive way, let's check in on the Fed, the current projections for the next Fed meeting, which, by the way, are like over a month away from now. So you're going to have some time that the market can kind of do its thing. Obviously, there's going to be other economic data, jobs data, and this and that, but that's not going to be as big of a mover, I don't think, for the markets. So we'll see. But yeah, it's still a 56% chance, 57% chance of a 50 basis point hike. That's where everyone is, at least where the market's looking right now. We shall see, though, on that. But and this is a CPI I'm concerned. After this one, you start lapping some big increases, so I would be less and less concerned about CPI post this CPI. That's at least with my thoughts, where my head is. Who knows, though? All right, there goes Disney making some moves there. Haven't seen it. Oh, and it's plummeting. Let's go to the 3-month chart to get a better view of this plummet. So lows of the past, October lows are down around $90, a little over $90. We'll see if it attempts to get down that low. Plug Lucid earnings this afternoon. Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy. I would not be. I haven't looked at Lucid's chart, let me tell you, in a long time. Let's take a look at Lucid. Yeah, it's kind of like, it honestly kind of has a little bit of a flag look, but it doesn't matter. Who knows? Anything can happen off the earnings. The daily chart, though, bottom in October, since then holding a little bit, like the S&P, kind of holding higher lows. Oh, wow. Here's some news. Meta's Mark Zuckerberg says he is accountable as company prepares for mass layoffs. That's a little scary. At least the way that was worded. Let me check in on Meta. Is it doing anything in the after hours? I don't think it really. Gap up here from a couple days back. The thing about that, though, is that as much as that sounds scary about mass layoffs and this and that you're going to start seeing from other companies, I'm sure you're going to see more of it. I'm not like it needs to be done to essentially hold these companies afloat in the meantime. That's kind of the deal. So look at that. Disney dips and then rips right back up. So now it's like kind of flat. Upstart has earnings. Yeah. Upstart, I haven't seen it in the after hours make a move yet, right? No, nothing there. Affirm has earnings today, I think. Yeah, they have earnings as well. A bunch of earnings in the after hours here. Bunch of interesting companies to see. But there's Disney, man. 90, 98, dipped down to 94. Now it's 97. Oxy has earnings too. That's Mr. Buffett's oil play, right? Let's check out how this one's doing. Oxy. Oh wow, I didn't realize that's up at highs. I'm surprised, but that's a pretty interesting resistance point here on Oxy. We'll see if that holds. Oh, where's oil at though? Oil was down. Oil's at 89, down 3% today, roughly on oil. Here's oil's daily chart. Check this out. Right up against that level again, and rejecting so far off the mid to low 90s. So it's just where we're sitting. Not much more we could. I'm surprised that Oxy's holding up that well, though, despite oil not really being at highs, but it's doing pretty well. Disney seemingly kind of bleeding out a bit more off of that. With that said, though, I'm going to wrap things up, guys. Silver gold, by the way, had another couple strong days. That's because the dollar is down a good bit. DXY. I keep saying I'm going to wrap things up, and then I go back for like 5 more, talk about like 10 more things. DXY does not look good. So the silver and gold play, I think, look pretty decent. I don't know. I'm just drawing lines here at this point. Who knows? But it undercut the lows of earlier this month or late last month, which is a good look. So we'll see if it continues. And this is the first time we're really undercutting that 50 moving average. Like we're really truly breaking below that, which tells us momentum is really fading off. If that continues to hold, that would be a positive for the metals. You would think it would be positive for Bitcoin, but today's news on Bitcoin is a little sketch. And it would probably be good for the market, but we'll see if that ends up holding. And that's the key. So with that said, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys next Wednesday for a new live. I have some videos that I've been meaning to make for a long time, but we'll cover some of those, or I'll drop some of those over the next couple of days. That said, thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.